Welcome to part 2. Now, the whole rhetoric coming from the government and government sympathizers is that the swearing-in ceremony of Raila Odinga was a joke. Yeah? And what they're saying now is that the fact that his friends, in quotes, the other principals, Wetangula, Mudavadi, and Kalonzo, the fact that those three were not there means that Raila went it alone. It means that even those around him, those close to him, do not believe in what he was doing. Bottom line, it was a big joke. Okay, hiyo ni sawa. However, there's a simple question I need to ask. If indeed the swearing in of Raila Odinga was a joke, comedy, something to laugh about, why switch off the major TV stations? Why warn media houses against live coverage of the Raila Odinga swearing in? Yeah? Now, the government does not usually ban the Churchill show. It's comedy. Yeah? So why didn't the government allow comedy to be fully displayed to Kenyans and the world? Well, my simple advice, I may not be very clever, but I'm also not very foolish. My simple advice is this. Next time you come up with a rhetoric, make sure you think through the whole rhetoric, okay, so that it makes sense. Because this one does not make sense. And it does not make sense simply because of the media blackout. Yeah, if it was a joke, if it was comedy, why black it out? Why take free-to-air TV stations and some radio stations off air? Why? When you didn't want them to enjoy comedy? Of course, the naked truth is that it was not comedy. The hundreds and thousands of people gathered at Uhuru Park must have sent chills right down the spines of Jubilee diehards. Which, as I've said before, raises the very simple fundamental question. If it is true NASA has the numbers, and it's obvious they have the numbers, how come they lost the election? How? Because if Raila Odinga had been sworn in front of even 10,000 people, maybe would have said it's a joke. Yeah? But there were not 10,000 people at Uhuru Park. Indeed, if you just want to estimate the figures, it is clear those people would not have fitted into Kasarani Stadium, which was empty on 12th of December. And remember, those who made it to Uhuru Park were the brave ones. Yeah? There are many other NASA supporters who just couldn't gather the courage to go there. I mean, let's not forget what people are expecting. People are expecting a bloodbath. Yeah? So the fact that so many people turned up, so many people said, I don't care what happens to me, I am going. That is significant. That, my dear friends, whatever side of the political divide you belong to, cannot be wished away. That is a fact. These numbers alone legitimize the presidency of Raila Amolo Odinga. He definitely has the numbers. And indeed, this is what makes the Kenyan crisis even more complicated. Because looking at what happened in Uhuru Park, looking at the numbers there, even you, if you're a Jubilee, even you, if you're Uhuru Kenyatta, you would fear an election. How do you go for an election against a person who has got such following? How? Yeah? I mean, nobody goes into a situation where they're going to lose with their eyes wide open. So you avoid the word election. The word election is a very dirty word within the Jubilee High Command. Election. In fact, when you mention that, people start shivering, shaking in their boots. Election. Hey, no. But on a serious note, unfortunately, that is what true democracy is all about. It's about elections. It's about numbers. And it's about some numbers rejecting you and some numbers accepting you. That is democracy. It's about the person with the majority following, the majority votes, winning and being sworn into office. Okay? Not what we claim to be democracy in Kenya, where people cook up figures in a computer and then you have the vast majority of Kenyans frustrated. Yeah? Indeed, I don't know why it is taking people so long and why it is so difficult for people to figure out what the Kenyan crisis is all about. And I mean, I'm also talking about the diplomatic community. They can't figure out what the problem in Kenya is, surely. They can't. Because very simply put, it is a vast majority of Kenyans went into the elections on August 8th, 2017 and voted in a certain way. And then when the results came out, the vast majority of Kenyans were frustrated. They had wasted their time. Now, my dear Dr. Ekot, that is what I call nonsensical. Okay? When you frustrate such a huge multitude of people, conning them and telling them they're going into an election, while actually what is happening is a selection in a computer room somewhere at the Bomas of Kenya, that is what I call nonsensical. And indeed, the international community should be able to see clearly that is what the problem in Kenya is. Because if a vast majority of the people voted for Jubilee, as he said, then we would have no problem in Kenya. Yeah? Because the vast majority would be happy. The vast majority would be happy because they voted and their candidate won. But when the vast majority of Kenyans voted and their candidate was declared a loser, what do you expect? Surely, even if Kenyans are idiots, what do you expect? So going forward, the big nightmare for Jubilee and the big plus for Raila Odinga and NASA are the numbers. Indeed, the numbers cancel out this other drama of Wetangula, Kalonzo and Mudavadi not turning up. Yeah? Because as it is, what those numbers are saying, they are saying, Raila Odinga, we're behind you. We don't care who else is behind you, but we are behind you. Now, in my view, and this should be very obvious, Raila Odinga does not need Wetangula, Kalonzo, and Mudavadi. But he needs numbers, and he has the numbers. Let me put it another way. What do you think would happen today? I'm not saying it has happened or it will happen. I'm just giving a theory. Yeah, I'm just giving a hypothetical situation. What do you think would happen today if Weta, Mudavadi, and Kalonzo crossed over to Jubilee and got cabinet posts? Or even if they just crossed over to Jubilee and became chief administrative whatevers. What do you think would happen? Do you think those people, the vast majority of their supporters, their supporters would follow them to Jubilee? Do you think that's what would happen? Indeed, we have seen defections, of Jubilee, of NASA people. Have their supporters followed them? Nope. And so I think I've made myself clear. Now, what next for Raila after being sworn in? Now, I believe the strategy of David Ndii and the other chief strategists within NASA, most of whom we call radicals, I believe that their main objective here is to form a parallel government, and indeed everything they're going to do, they're going to lean very, very closely, very, very tightly to the people. And indeed, our constitution says the people are superior. Everything starts and ends with the people. So, having said that, it will be very difficult for somebody to prove somebody has broken the law as long as that person has the people behind them. And what is the proof that the people are behind it? The People's Assembly. The People's Assemblies, which have been established in very many counties across the country, those are the people backing the presidency of Raila Odinga. And those are the people who will back any other action they will take, which would have otherwise been against the law. Like, for instance, naming a cabinet, and doing all the other things a president is supposed to do. Those are the people backing whatever will be done that will make it impossible for any of these people to be taken to any court of law, even a kangaroo court, and to be found guilty. Because everything they're doing is anchored on the people. And our constitution is very firmly anchored upon the people. Now, what I've talked about is orderly. What I've talked about is very peaceful. However, there's a very big danger here. The people have already forced a Raila Odinga swearing in ceremony. Just look at the history of this swearing in. NASA were, they were hesitant. They were thinking twice about it. But the people just forced it through. They told the NASA High Command in no uncertain terms that we do not want to hear anything else except Raila eating the Bible. And that is exactly what has happened. Now, those people have gained confidence. They've already achieved one thing against great odds. And according to me, this is the great danger for the country. Because whatever those people come up with next, however crazy it is, however against the law it is, they will have a head start. They will have an advantage. They will have an edge. And this is the reason why I would highly recommend negotiations as soon as possible. For the sake of the country, for the sake of peace in the country, for the sake of averting bloodshed. Until next time, this is Kumekucha.